In my heart, I'm gonna sing till the Spirit moves. In my heart, I'm gonna sing till Jesus comes.
Mind-boggling to him some of the things, and he's describing them in the best way he can because it's beyond what he's ever seen. But his mind is being projected. Okay? And so what this is, this break of this 3.5 years, because right now we're still at the 69.5 or 486.5 years. Okay? And then you're going to have 3.5 years. Because he said he was in the midst of the week going to be cut off. So you have a break there until his second coming. And then, believe it or not, brothers and sisters, he's going to establish that, or come back and finish that 3.5 year ministry. The rest of that 7 years. This is talking about the Messiah. And he's going to plead with Israel face to face. In the wilderness, once again. And he's going to bring them under the rod. He's going to purge out the rebels. He's going to, again, finish his ministry. Finish his ministry. And that's what that's talking about. This has nothing to do with the Great Tribulation. That's not talking about the Great Tribulation at all. But this is where they come. So I just had to point that out. So let's go to Daniel 12. Let's go to Daniel 12 and find out how long the Great Tribulation is. Because I had to point out that fallacy. And that's something that many of you probably have not heard of the 70 weeks of Daniel. But you need to read this. And maybe not even pay attention to many of these commentaries. Okay? But read it. You have to put other scriptures with it. And I might even do the 70 weeks. I might even do that lesson. Just to bring more clarity. Because that's me. Okay? But let's go to Daniel the 12th chapter. And find out how long the Great Tribulation is. This is Daniel the 12th chapter in verse 1. It says, "And at that time Michael stand up. The great prince was standing for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was, since there was a nation even to that same time. And at that time, thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book." The book of what? The book of life. Because then it goes on to talk about the resurrection. Okay? But this time is talking about the Great Tribulation. This is talking about the Great Tribulation. This is a time like no other. He even said, the Messiah said, he said, look, if he had not cut down the time, no flesh would be saved. But for the elect's sake, he did this. He cut the time down. Okay, now let's go to the 4th verse to find out how long it is. It says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Okay, so he say, look, this is for beyond your days, Daniel. This is not even for you. This is for those that will come after you, and we benefit from what Daniel wrote. We benefit from it because we are approaching this and we can see everything falling into place. We can see what Daniel was talking about, what Daniel prophesied about. Verse 5, "Then I, Daniel, looked and behold, there stood other two, the one on the side of the bank of the river and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen which was upon the waters of the river, How long shall it be to end these wonders?" How long is this going to take place? Okay, so this is talking about the Great Tribulation and the resurrection. Verse 7, "And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times and a half." What is time, times and a half? Time is 1, times, plural, is 2 and a half. 3.5 years. That's how long the Great Tribulation is going to be. So it says, "And it shall be for a time, times and a half." 3.5 years. "And when he shall be accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished." Okay, so let's go, because we read about that abomination of desolation. Okay? We read about that abomination of desolation. So let's find out how long this abomination of desolation, who again is going to be coming out of Rome, is going to have control during the Great Tribulation. It's going to rule. Okay? This is Daniel the 7th chapter and the 25th verse. The Daniel the 7th chapter and the 25th verse. Well, let's go up to verse 24. It says, well, as a matter of fact, yeah, let's go to 24. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. This is talking about Rome. Because you had the Babylonians, you had the Medo-Persians, you had the Greeks, and then you had the Romans. All those other kingdoms fell, but when you come to Rome, who many say, well, they fell in 476. One thing about them, they did not fall totally. They may have fell militarily. But one thing about them is that they ruled and continue to rule through religion. The so-called Christian world, everything that's coming out of the so-called Christian world came out of Rome. And Rome is full of paganism. That's that woman that you read about in Revelation that had the wine in a golden cup, who has made the nations drunk with the wine. False doctrine. Everything you get. Easter, Sunday worship, Christmas. All this false doctrine. Whether you Protestant, Catholic, Baptist, Presbyterian, Lutheran, all the Protestant denominations, and Catholicism, so all the non-denominations, all that so-called Christian world, that stuff derives, your customs derive from Rome. Rome just stamped a big old stamp with the name Jesus on a bunch of paganism. Put a false image of Jesus, had the whole world following some falsehood, false doctrine. Okay? And that's how Rome continues to rule, believe it or not. Rules the mind spiritually. And now is being reconstructed militarily and politically through what? The European Union. The European Union. Because it's all about, when you look at Europe, it's all about who's going to reunify that Roman Empire. And many have tried to do it, and you see it being done today. When you look at Europe, and all these countries have the same currency. When you look at Europe, and they all have borders that you could just travel through, as if they are one. Okay, and he says 10 toes, even though we know the European Union has well over 10 countries. But one thing about it, their military faction, the Western European Union, has 10. The one that's dealing, and that's where the power is going to come out of. More than likely. More than likely. But it's definitely coming out of the European Union. They even signed what? The Treaty of Rome. They understand what they're doing. And so you see the reunification of Rome right now. The unification of the Roman Empire. That beast with that wound, we read about in Revelation, is going to be revitalized, and it's being revitalized right now. And that's why even the Pope, when they were making the European Union Constitution, he said you need to acknowledge what Christianity, or their form of Christendom or Christianity, has done for Europe. In this darkest hour, it kept Europe going. And it is a power, brothers and sisters, because when you control the minds of millions spiritually, you have great power. You have great power. So it says, in the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. Okay? And again, I'm not getting off into that, but this is talking about Rome. Verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High. This abomination of desolation. He already speaks. Again, that one that is in the office now, I'm not saying that he is, talking about the Pope, I'm not saying that he is that one, that the Antichrist that is to come, that's going to set his feet in the temple. But I will say this, that office has always out of it come out of these men that will have flattering titles. Vicar of Christ. Vicarious Filii. Okay, Pontifex Maximus, which is a pagan term. They don't have that term officially, but you can see it on many of the things they have, and some of them have taken that title. And there are other titles There are many other titles. As if they speak for God. They don't speak for God. So it says, he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. What does it mean, wear out the saints? He's going to be persecuting the saints. He's going to be killing the saints. I thought it was going to be a rapture for the saints, though. See, that's why you need to read the scripture and not follow after some false doctrine given by some false prophet. It says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. Okay? And that's what we did with the Sabbath, and that's going to be going on at that time. Well, people aren't even going to be able to, if they're caught up in the Great Tribulation, they're not even going to be able to buy and sell without taking the mark of the beast. Okay? And they shall be given into his hand, how long? Until a time and times and the dividing of time. 3.5 years. That's how long the Great Tribulation is. That's how long it is. Okay, let's go to Revelation. Let's go to Revelation. Because we want to find out. Okay, because I stated there was going to be a temple built. That there was going to be a temple built. Once again. And there are efforts, great efforts I might add, to build this temple right now. Cornerstones, cut by diamonds. I mean, everything is in place. Everything is in place. And if there's peace, and people say, man, there'll never be peace there. Well, I know this. Some way or another, that temple is going to be built. That temple is going to be built. And the abomination of desolation is going to stand in that temple. And that, my friends, is going to set off the Great Tribulation. Brothers and sisters, you have to understand what to do. And one thing you better not do is wait on the rapture. I'm going to show you what you need to do. But before I get into that, again, I want to show you about this temple and how long the Gentiles are going to try it on the foot and how long his prophets are going to prophesy. Because this is during the Great Tribulation. Revelation 11:1, it says, and there was given me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood, saying, rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. Alright, so this right here, verse 1 is not talking about that temple to be built by man prior to the Great Tribulation. This is talking about that temple that's going to be even built after that. You can read about that in Ezekiel. About how after the second coming of Jesus, it's going to be a temple on this earth. And the Lord is you're going to have Israel back in the land. And you're going to have the Lord. And you're going to have, they're going to set up sacrifice at that time. That's after the second coming of Jesus. It's talking about that temple. Zerubbabel talks about how he's going to build. But verse 2, but the court which is without the temple, or outside the temple, the court area, leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. Okay? It says, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. Okay, so some Gentiles are going to have power at this time, and they're going to tread it underfoot for 42 months. What's this talking about? That's talking about when that abomination of desolation stand in the holy place, in that temple. He can't stand there without power. He's going to have power at that time. And they're going to tread it underfoot 42 months. How long is 42 months? 3.5 years. How long is the man of sin going to wear out the saints? We read about it in Daniel. 3.5 years. So he's going to raise up his prophets, 2 witnesses at this time. The Lord is. And it says, and I will give power unto my 2 witnesses. It says, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days. 1,260 days. It says, clothed in sackcloth. 1,260 days is how long? 3.5 years. Again, 3.5 years, 3.5 years, 3.5 years. That's how long the Great Tribulation is. It is not 7 years. The only scripture they use to substantiate the main scripture they use to substantiate 7-year Great Tribulation, that's not even talking about Great Tribulation at all. That's not even talking about the Great Tribulation at all. So, let's go to Matthew the 24th chapter. Back to Matthew 24. And find out what the Lord told you to do at this time. Because many are waiting for a rapture. But brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you, there is no rapture.